From outside, from outside Liberia's capital, the Pleasant. Good morning and welcome to Fuka News Summary. 50 minutes of news presentation covering Liberia, Africa, and our one world. My name is Lyndon Truba, anchoring this segment of news presentation. In the headlines, President Boakai and African counterparts to attend historic dinner with U.S. President Donald Trump today. Newly established legal documents open fresh discussion over corruption scandals against former Foreign Minister Maxwell Kemia. Bureau of State Enterprises authorizes Internal Audit Agency to begin full-scale institutional audit of state enterprises and away from whom Ex-Bangladesh leader authorized Delhi crackdown, leak audio suggests. These and many more development are all coming up. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we bring you more development on our news program. Welcome back and thanks for rejoining us on this presentation. President Joseph Boakai is in the U.S. capital, Washington, D.C., on a working visit to participate in the 2025 U.S. Africa Leaders Summit. The event is hosted by U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House from July 7 to 11. President Boakai is among 5 African heads of states specially invited by the U.S. President to attend the high-level summit, which aims to strengthen diplomatic relations promote shared economic priorities, foster security cooperation between the United States and select African nations. Leaders from Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Mauritania, Senegal will also be in attendance. While in Washington, President Boakai would engage with bilateral meeting with President Trump and other senior U.S. officials. Discussions will cover a broad range of strategic issues, including economic development, governance, democratic consolidation, regional security, energy collaborations, and investment opportunities. The visit will focus on reaffirming the historic U.S. Liberia partnership and identifying new avenues for cooperation in health, education, infrastructures, and development. President Boakai is expected to return Liberia at the conclusion of the summit. Corruption allegations against former Foreign Minister D. Maswell Kimia are contradicted by documents and testimony revealing Saudi Arabia donations were directly paid to vendor Futa Corporation. Former Assistant Minister Maswell Vide accused Kimia of misusing 4 million from Saudi and Moroccan government, but records show no funds were managed or received by the ministry. Evidence includes letters from Futa Corporation confirming direct payments from Saudi authorities and video footage showing Kimia publicly directing rights distribution solely to vulnerable Liberians. Regarding renovation, Saudi and Moroccan funds were managed and paid directly by the government, with projects completed and dedicated in January 2024 President George Weah. Ministry of Insider attribute Vice claim to personal resentment and poor performance, suggesting he seeks political relevance for targeting his former boss without providing supporting evidence. The acting Director General of the Bureau of State Enterprises, Valley Sanon, has commissioned the Internal Audit Agency to conduct a full-scale institutional audit. The Bureau oversees more than 20 state-owned enterprises across energy, transport, telecommunications, and agriculture, ensuring financial sustainability and compliance with the government standards and regulations. Mr. Sanders said that the audit will evaluate financial records, operational efficiencies, and regulatory compliance, aimed at rebuilding public trust and reforming internal systems for greater accountability. He stressed transparency and accountability as pillars of governance, assuring employees that the exercise is constructive and based on strengthening, not punishing the Bureau's operation. Findings will guide future reforms and help curb management across SOE, aligning with Liberia's national efforts to promote physical discipline and restore confidence in public institutions. Regarding renovations, so the Moroccan funds were managed and paid directly by the government, with the project completed and dedicated in January 2024. A front-page Africa investigation has revealed that leftover COVID-19 hospital food support program were directed into the Liberia Consolidated Account to support the national home-grown food feeding program. Originally, the COVID-19 food program aimed to provide emergency assistance to Liberia's vulnerable citizens. Questions surfaced after former Finance Minister Samuel Twe addressed allegations from Stanton Witherspoon. Twe explained 30 million was managed by the World Food Program, spending 23.8 million, revealing over 2 million returned by July 2022, causing scrutiny. Documents show 2 million savings were recommended for food feeding, including 1.17 million from the IMF support and 857,000 from the World Bank funded agriculture initiatives in Liberia. Officials confirmed funds were secured at the central bank and strictly reserved for school feeding, with calls for comprehensive audit to strengthen transparency and public trust. This is a reminder that you are listening to Focal News Summary, 50 minutes of news presentation covering Liberia, Africa, and our one war. Let's bring you a recap of top stories we are following on our news presentation. President Boakai and his African counterparts to attend historic dinners at the White House today. Newly established legal document open fresh discussion over corruption scandals against former Foreign Minister Maswell Kemia. Bureau of State Enterprises authorizes Internal Audit Agency to begin full-scale institutional audit of state enterprises and away from home as Bangladesh leader authorized Delhi crackdown, leak audio suggests. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we bring you more development in our news program. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us on this presentation. A staunch member of the Movement for Progressive Change, Oscar Menlo, has resigned. In his communication address to the party, Menlo said it is time to explore new paths and pursue opportunities that better align with his personal and professional aspirations. He expressed his gratitude to the leadership member and supporters who stood by him throughout his journey. According to him, the decision may come as a surprise to many, hoping that the party and its supporters continue to thrive and make meaningful contribution to the country. Liberia Revenue Authority Commissioner General Doba Jala is currently in Abuja, Nigeria, attending the 12th Steering Committee meeting of the International Monetary Fund. Commissioner Jala joined experts from across West Africa to discuss ways to strengthen capacity and boost domestic revenue, as well as address financial matters. On Monday, Commissioner General Jala participated in a high-level panel discussions on domestic revenue mobilization, where he shared Liberia's experience and highlighted strategies being implemented by the LRA. The event, which is the second African Regional Technical Assistance Center for West Africa, is an IMF-led initiative in partnership with recipient countries and development partners. The center supports capacity building in key areas of macroeconomic financial management across 6 countries: Cape Verde, the Gambia, Ghana, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. A local quasi-judicial court, the Labor Hearing Court, has ruled in favor of Miata Soninjara, former treasurer and risk manager of SRB Bank, for wrongful dismissals and discrimination. Mr. Jared was fired and convicted in December 2024 for malice, prejudice, hatred, and administrative errors allegedly orchestrated against or Ghanaian managers. A respected Bengal and Integrity Akan Jerry was dismissed after exposing unauthorized loans and upholding ethical standards, actions he argued were part of her professional responsibilities. A 7-day Avante Faith, which prohibits Saturday's work and use against her despite an existing exemption. She also faced denial of leaving and unjust suspension. The court default judgment required SRB Bank to pay significant compensation to Jaira, marking a major victory for employees' rights and accountability within Liberia's banking industry. The Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency has arrested two individuals suspected of drug trafficking at the Bull Waterside port of entry in Grand Cape Mount County. According to the LDA, the two suspects were arrested after allegedly trying to smuggle a significant quantity of narcotic substance identified as Kush. The suspects include a 26-year-old Liberian national, Joseph Barkley, and a 23-year-old Sierra Leone national, David Kekola. According to a release, they arrested him from a tip-off from a suspicious vehicle entering the country. And a Delhi crackdown on students-led protests in Bangladesh last week was authorized by then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, according to an audio of one of the phone calls verified by BBC Eyes. In the audio, which was leaked online in March, Hasina says she authorized the security forces to use lethal weapons against protesters, that whatever they find, they will shoot. Protesters in Bangladesh plan to use the recording as crucial evidence against Hasina, who's been tried in absentia at a special tribunal for crimes against humanity. Up to 1,400 dead in last summer unrest, according to the UN investigators. Hasina, who fled to India in her party, reject all charges against her. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we bring you a recap of major headlines we have been following closely on our news presentation. To end this news recap, major stories we have been following very closely throughout our news presentation. President Buarque and his African counterparts to attend historic dinner at the White House in Washington, D.C. Newly established legal document opened fresh discussion over corruption scandals against former Foreign Minister Maxwell Kemier. Barbados State Enterprises authorizes Internal Audit Agency to begin full-scale intern institutional audit of state enterprises. And away from Liberia, ex-Bangladesh leader authorized Delhi crackdown, leak audio suggests. This is Spoken News Summary. My name is Lyndon Toba. I present a good morning.